Solomon of First Hour Top Stories. Gunmen abduct 3 INEC officials and others on their way to Anambra ahead of governorship election. Secret Police DSS reveals imminent ASUU terrorist attack in Ondo and Kogi State. Over 30 fear dead and 40 injured in Niger State tanker explosion. Fire raises section of Alaba market in Lagos. ASUU suspends 2-week warning strike. NEL Fund opens student loan application portal for 2025-2026 academic session. Reps to probe 4.6 billion naira grant for HIV, TB and malaria response. Outside Nigeria, no plans for Trump-Putin summit in near future, Russia and US officials reveal. And in sport, UEFA Champions League champions PSG trash Leverkusen 7-2. Those are our top stories. Details coming up in just a moment. We begin the news with insecurity stories where gunmen suspected to be kidnappers have abducted 6 passengers, including 3 staff members of the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC, en route to Anambra State for the November 8 governorship election. The 3 staff members, identified as Chinyenye Orji, Adamaka Ani and Catherine Temaugi, were traveling from Abuja to Anambra when they were ambushed at Aloma, Kogi State. The driver of the Sienna minibus they were traveling on stated that the kidnappers took over the highway, shot at the bus and shattered the windshield. According to him, all occupants of the bus were abducted, including his wife, except himself and an elderly woman who could not walk properly. The driver later recounted that the kidnappers freed him and the elderly woman after realizing she had mobility issues. According to the information, the 3 INEC staff members were deployed to Anambra to print voters' registers and other election materials ahead of the governorship election. Meanwhile, the Department of State Services DSS has raised the alarm over imminent coordinated attacks by suspected members of the Islamic State of West Africa province ISWAP, targeting several communities in Ondo and Kogi State. The warning was signed by H.I. Kanaje on behalf of the State Director of Security, Ondo State, and copied to relevant military and security formations for imminent action and immediate action. The latest alert comes amid renewed concerns over terrorist activities spreading beyond the northeast into parts of the southwest and north central regions. Bandits in large numbers stormed a hospital in Kaduna State in the early hours of Tuesday, abducting several patients and a medical doctor on duty. According to a source in Kaduna, the bandits stormed Kujama town, which is the headquarters of Chikum local government, and went straight to the private hospital. At the hospital, the assailants abducted 5 patients, the medical doctor on duty, and a security guard. One of the security personnel who attempted to resist the attackers was shot multiple times, sustaining several injuries before being rushed to another hospital for treatment. No fewer than 30 people have reportedly lost their lives, while about 40 others sustained varying degrees of injuries in a tragic tanker explosion that occurred on Tuesday in Niger State. The incident happened around 11 a.m. at Esan and Badeki communities along the Bida Agay Road in Kacha local government area of the state. Eyewitnesses said the victims were scooping fuel from a fallen tanker when the vehicle suddenly exploded, setting off a massive fire that engulfed several people. Many victims were said to have been burnt beyond recognition, while the injured were evacuated to nearby hospitals for treatment. Confirming the incident, the chairman of the Niger State Tanker Drivers Association and national ex-officio of the Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, NUPENG, Comrade Farouk Kawu, described the tragedy as devastating and avoidable. According to him, the ill-fated tanker was conveying petroleum products from Lagos to the northern part of the country when it crashed. Kawu lamented that more than 30 tanker accidents had been recorded along the Bida-Agay route in October alone, blaming the high rate of crashes on the deplorable state of the road. A section of the Alaba International Market in Lagos was engulfed by fire Tuesday evening. Video shared on X showed thick smoke and flames billowing from the furniture section of the market located near the Ojo Local Government Secretariat in Ojo Town. An ex-user who shared the footage said the blaze started from a little spark before spreading rapidly through adjoining shops. In another video, traders stood at a distance, visibly stressed that the blaze engulfed their shops. Footage also showed officials of the Lagos State Fire and Rescue Service battling to contain the inferno. Speaking to reporters on Wednesday, Shakiru Amodu, Director of Public Affairs at the State Fire Service, confirmed the incident and added that details were still being gathered. The Alaba International Market, situated along the Lagos-Badagry Expressway, is one of the West Africa's biggest commercial hub of electronics, furniture, and building materials. The fire comes amid a series of market and building infernos in Lagos in recent months.
The thing no be small. The fire service don run comot o. 2 fire service wey come here don run comot. No water again. We be there around Frank Grass. Their shop dey around Frank Grass. May you come out to opposite Tantalaza. Their shop dey near there. May una come out to.
The Academic Staff Union of Universities ASUU has announced the suspension of its ongoing 2-week warning strike. The national president of ASUU, Chris Piwona, made this known in an ongoing press briefing in Abuja on Wednesday. According to Piwona, the decision stemmed from the meeting of the National Executive Council meeting, which was held overnight and ended at 4 a.m. on Wednesday. Piwona noted that the union decided to embark on the strike due to the failure of the government to meet its demands on time. Recorded ASUU declared a total and comprehensive warning strike starting from Monday, October 13. ASUU is currently demanding the conclusion of the renegotiated 2009 FGN ASUU agreement, the release of the withheld 3.5 months salaries, sustainable funding of public universities, revitalization of public universities, and cessation of the victimization of lecturers in LASU, Prince Abubakar Audu University, and Futo. Others are payment of outstanding 25 to 35% salary arrears, payment of promotion arrears for over 4 months, and release of withheld third-party deductions, cooperative contributions, union checkoffs, dues. The Nigerian Education Loan Fund, NEL Fund, has announced the official opening of its online student loan application portal for the 2025-2026 academic session, allowing eligible students to apply for financial assistance to support their education. This was made known in a statement posted on NEL Fund's official X handle. According to the statement, the application window will run from Thursday, October 23, 2025 to Saturday, January 31, 2026. The fund appreciated the cooperation of tertiary institutions across the country and urged them to continue collaborating to ensure a smooth and inclusive loan process for all qualified students. NEL Fund directed all accredited tertiary institutions to update and upload verified records of both returning and newly admitted students of the NEL Fund Student Verification Panel. It emphasized that this verification step is crucial for students to successfully apply and benefit from the scheme. The agency further stated that fresh students may apply using either their admission number or JAMB registration number in place of a matriculation number, while institutions are encouraged to show flexibility with registration and fee deadlines for students awaiting loan disbursement. Institutions that have yet to commence their 2025-2026 academic session were advised to formally notify NetFund with their approved academic calendars to enable scheduling flexibility. The House of Representatives has resolved to probe the utilization of $1.8 billion and $2.8 billion in grants Nigeria received from the Global Fund and the United States Agency for International Development (USAID) between 2021 and 2025. The funds were provided to support the country's response to HIV, tuberculosis, TB, and malaria as part of efforts to strengthen Nigeria's public health systems. The motion, sponsored by Amobi Godwin Oga, a lawmaker from Abia, was presented on the floor by Philip Agbese, deputy spokesperson of the House during plenary. Moving the motion, Agbese noted that the Global Fund to fight AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria was established in 2002 to mobilize resources and accelerate global efforts to end the epidemics, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa. He said Nigeria received an estimated $1.8 billion in grants from the Global Fund between 2021 and 2025 and over $2.8 million from USAID between 2022 and 2024 to combat HIV, TB, polio, and malaria. He said that the U.S. President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, PEPFAR, contributed over $6 billion to Nigeria from 2021 to 2025. Despite these significant investments, Nigeria remains burdened by public health threats, including 15,000 AIDS-related deaths among children aged 0 to 14 in 2023 and 51,000 in 2023, ranking Nigeria third globally in HIV-related deaths. And that's the world news at 12 on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. If you're just tuning in, we'll go for a short break. When we return, who will be our analysis? Will be up next. We'll be right back. If you're just tuning in, this is the World News at 12 on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. We do sincerely apologize. We've not been able to establish connection with our analyst for the news at this time. We'll go straight to stories from our international scene, where officials from Russia and the US have dashed expectations that the leaders of their respective countries, Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump, are slated to meet soon to discuss a ceasefire in Ukraine. The announcement comes after President Trump announced he would meet with his Russian counterpart in Hungary within 2 weeks or so. Moscow denied that a meeting was imminent, saying that preparations could take time. No precise framework was initiated or initially set here, said Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov. At an Oval Office news conference later in the day, Trump was asked what happened to delay the meeting. The US president declined to offer specifics, instead framing the postponement as a question of efficiency. Take a listen.
I don't want to have a wasted meeting. I don't want to have a waste of time, so I'll see what happens. But we did all of these great deals, great peace deals. They're all peace deals, agreements, solid agreements, every one of them. But this one, and I said, go to the line of battle, the battlefield lines, and you pull back and you go home, and everybody takes some time off, because you got two countries that are killing each other. Two countries that are losing 5,000 to 7,000 soldiers a week. So we'll see what happens. It's we haven't made a determination.
Hopes of a new term summit are deemed in recent days. Reports have suggested the delay is the result of different views on the conditions necessary for ending the conflict. We've finally been able to establish connection with our analyst, Ayo Osho. Mr. Osho, thank you very much. Barrister Osho, rather, beg your pardon. Thank you very much for joining us on the news.
It's my pleasure. I'm sorry for the challenge.
Yeah, you almost gave me heart attack there.
No, that's not intentional.
So let's go straight to the first topic for discussion, where gunmen suspected to be kidnappers have abducted 6 passengers, including 3 staff members of INEC, en route to Anambra State for November 8th governorship election. And then on the other hand, the DSS has raised an alarm over imminent coordinated attacks by suspected members of ISWAP province, ISWAP rather, targeting several communities in Ondo and Kogi State. It looks like this insecurity is continuing unabated. So, what's your view?
Well, it is unfortunate. Insecurity now pervades the entire nation. Incidentally, I was in the East about 2-3 weeks ago. We went for a burial. On our way back, some of our members were also abducted, which I believe they'll be released. Insecurity is something that pervades the whole nation. Meaning that the federal government needs to up antics, in resolving this issue. We know that the government is not doing enough, but at this juncture, I think the society also needs to get involved. According to the police slogan, if you see something, say something. Security is an issue for everybody. We should all be involved in security. But the thing now is that, though the thing is nationwide, but some areas are more prone to insecurity than others, which is unfortunate. If you look at some parts of the north, even the Federal Capital Territory, and incidents are part of the east too. Like these are my colleagues that were abducted 2 weeks ago, thereabout. They were abducted in Anambra State also, at Iala, thereabout. So the security agencies, then the states must also join in effectively. If you look at Delta State, they just started their own security trust fund. And I need to tell people that Lagos, that appears to be safe, is not by default. The Lagos State Security Trust Fund, that makes vehicles available for policemen, you understand, maybe also uniforms and etc. So that you can always see the city being well policed at every time. At this juncture, every state in the federation needs to set up their own state, security agency or a trust fund, like in Lagos, wherein the trust fund raises money from the public sector and the private sector mostly, to aid the police in getting cars, that's vehicles, arms and ammunition, and also to inspire them, understand, to always be available, on the streets, even at the dead of night. So the issue of insecurity, that is my first point of call. Now, then, of course, the military too, should be given incentives to do more to secure people's lives. So that's my take on the issue of insecurity.
Unfortunately, it's like it's moving closer to the southwest, which has largely been lucky with the fact that the insecurity is not so severe in the southwest. But when you hear stories now coming from Kogi State and now an Ondo State, you begin to wonder if it's just not a matter of if, but when it will come deep into the southwest.
We should also mention Kwara State. Kwara now we're receiving several reports of insecurity in Kwara State. Now the thing like I just mentioned, let's make sure every state, has this trust fund. And moreover, when you get to the issue of what do you call it now, this fund from the federal government that states don't need to account for, security vote. Security votes that even get to the local government chairman, they have their own security vote. The governors have their own security votes. So let the security votes be put to proper use. And perhaps to the issue of poverty, Socrates or Aristotle, one of those philosophers say that, in a country, in a state where poverty is pervasive, is pervasive. He said that crime also be pervasive. So as we tackle insecurity, let's also tackle poverty. You understand? Let's all remove the motivation for people to go out and carrying arms. Though you know that they have taken it to an extreme end. They have taken this thing, they have turned it into business. Even people who are successful, who are wealthy, are now involved in this issue of kidnapping. You looking back, remember the issue of Evans, and now with the level of sophistication people are using to commit these crimes, they are using most of this money to live large. So not all issue of security is based on poverty. But we can still tackle that of poverty, by making sure that people in the grassroots are not motivated to join this heinous crime.
And then the story of the INEC staff being kidnapped. Do you think it's as a result of the general insecurity, or this is looking more like electoral violence? Because or is it just a coincidence that these the people gunmen wheeling the road just happen to come across this INEC staff on their way to Anambra with election that is coming on in few weeks time, and also happening at a time where a new INEC chairman have just been confirmed by the Senate?
Well, we should leave all the options open. Anything is possible. But generally, looking at the rate of insecurity and kidnapping in particular in the southwest, I don't particularly think that this might be localized to INEC staff alone. It might not be.
It might just be a coincidence.
Yeah, coincidences. Yes, I think it was a coincidence. Because if those INEC staff were properly secured, perhaps those kidnappers will be dissuaded from attacking them. Just perhaps. The real incidents of kidnapping is so rife over there in the southeast. So rife. Coming off maybe the establishment of maybe IPOP, ECN, all these groups, they though those bills might have been set up with a legitimate aim. But of course, criminals take opportunity. They take advantage of every situation to latch on and carry out their nefarious activities. You know, just like when you look back to NSAS, it's something that started normally, you know, but later on, criminals just latch on to it to do their own thing. So it's neither here nor there. The most important thing that these people have been kidnapped, meaning that INEC staff generally going to the east need to be properly secured. You understand? If they want election to take place there,
hopefully
there should be special provision for INEC staff going to the east, you know, to do their job.
Hopefully this INEC staff will be released soonest. But the question now will be, how would they be would they be involved in the Anambra election? Should they be involved? I mean, come to think of the psychological trauma that be involved in conducting a proper election in Anambra State. This has opened a whole, you know, kind of worm to the election in Anambra State.
Yes. Well, it's a reality that the rate of insecurity in this country is high. It's just a question of degree based on the region, based on the part of the state one resides in. But, you know, the southeast, particularly Anambra, you understand, it's now notorious. And for that fact, if I'm an INEC staff, I'll be very, very careful. I will demand for extra security if I were an INEC staff. And the INEC authorities too, the leadership of INEC, need to be more sensitive to this fact so that their staff going there for the election are properly secured. It is traumatic. At least I've experienced a little of the trauma, you know, because it's not just normal for you to go out somewhere with some people and not everybody comes back home. You know, it's traumatic. So INEC should wake up. All the security agencies also wake up. The focus must be being on Anambra State at this time. You know, because even talks, we also want to have their own way too regarding this election. So anybody may hide under the guise of kidnapping, you know, to do anything. Perhaps even electoral material, which I doubt would have been taken.
Another thing is for sure, this Anambra election and with everything that's gone with the kidnapping of these INEC staff, it's going to be a huge test for the new INEC chairman.
That's correct. That's correct. It's going to be a huge test. This is going to be his litmus test, being his first assignment as the new chairman of INEC.
And so, we'll be hoping to see how he deals with it. Now, to another topic for discussion, no fewer than 30 people have reportedly lost their lives, while about 40 others sustained varying degree of injuries in a tragic tanker explosion that occurred yesterday in Niger State. And one begins to wonder, I mean, we've seen several times over the years how this ends up. A tanker, you know, carrying fuel, have little accidents, and Nigerians lashes onto it to siphon as much fuel as they can, and in matter of minutes the tanker explodes and people die. We've seen this movie over and over again, but Nigerians keep involving themselves in this situation, and this is just the power of poverty in the land.
It's unfortunate. After I saw the footage, it was very unfortunate. Now, where do we go from here? The first culprit will be the road, because from the reports that I've seen, within that axis, there has been about 30 accidents.
Yeah.
Just October alone. So, Professor
route.
Yes, Professor Umai, Professor of Roads, he need to make himself available in that axis to make sure that those roads are actually motorable. Then the issue of taking fuel, a combustible element, by road, from long distances. You should also find a way around it.
People are risking their life just to be able to see if they can get enough fuel to sell and eat for the day. That's how bad things have gotten.
Yes, yes, I know the economy is bad, but if you look at this country, it has always been, this cycle of poverty has always been there,
But it is but it is worse now.
Well, that will be based on the available statistics.
Definitely.
You understand? It should be on the statistics. But now, you see, the choice of man, God gave man free will. From experience, human beings are called, Homo sapiens,
Yeah.
the wise man, the wise man. Now, since we have been reading several times about, when trailers carry fuel, when they fall on the road, and the consequence that follows it, because where people are scooping the fuel, most often they are using materials, that can easily generate fire. We have been reading how people die during these situations. So those who are so greedy, who are risking their lives because of a gallon of petrol, they are equally very, very stupid people. Because they themselves are potential thieves.
Well, poverty makes people stupid, don't you think?
You see, I don't agree. You see, it based on degrees. Even as a student in the university, there was a time I had only 2,000. You understand? I didn't go to steal. So the issue of choice is always central to man.
Don't you think that's attributed to the fact that we're all different and we handle issues, handle stuff differently?
Yes. Then look at it. Whatever the economic situation may seem like, whatever it may look like, we expect much from the government. We expect much from our politicians. We expect much from those people who manage our collective patrimony. We expect much from them. But we ourselves should also owe ourselves a duty, not going to put our lives in danger. So what one can suggest is that those good old days, I recall that tankers used to carry fuel within this country. The rail system, they used to carry fuel. Maybe you can go back to that. If you go back to that, of course, you have to make sure that those trains, the tracks were properly secured. But the fundamentals is still boils down on the government. The attitude of the government to the plight of the people. It goes a long way. It goes a long way in reducing crime. It goes a long way in reducing, this kind of kamikaze attitude. Because personally, every time I see a trailer fall, I used to run. I clear out of that area. Because now this place, with the environment alone, the heat alone, fire can easily, with the consequences of too much petrol on the road. We can just spontaneously like that, go into combustion. So people too need to take care of their lives. Human life is sacred. But we ourselves must appreciate the fact that our individual lives are sacred.
Okay, let's quickly go to the last topic for discussion, where ASUU has announced the suspension of its ongoing 2-week warning strike. The national chairman of ASUU, Chris Puwona, has said the decision stemmed from the meeting of INEC, which was held overnight and ended at 4 a.m. This morning. Said that the union decided to embark on the strike due to the failure of the government to meet its demands. Now, from what we've heard, we've not heard anything about the issue being resolved. This is another warning strike suspended, and another strike soon to come. How long do we keep going? Do INEC and ASUU and federal government keep going back and forth at the detriment of Nigerians that are supposed to be well educated?
Well, the tussle between the government and the trade union, it's like an eternal thing. Like the struggle between good and evil. But the thing is that education in Nigeria, is a big deal, because the average Nigerian family want to make sure that their children go to school. So higher education in Nigeria is a major priority for our people. And for that reason, it puts a lot of strain on the available universities and higher institutions. It put a lot of strain. And education all over the world is an expensive venture. It's expensive. All over the world, education is expensive. So whatever you say about the culture of our education, at least our people still go there to have a minimum form of education. Because the NUC itself, what they recommend to universities is not what they call when they do accreditation. It's not the maximal thing. It's the minimum criteria for accreditation of courses. So that's why our people still go to universities to get those basics. Now, government alone, sincerely speaking, cannot meet these challenges of education. But the thing is that when people see the salaries, the salaries received by the politician, everybody is encouraged to demand for better pay. You understand?
I mean,
and that is where
it starts from the top. If
yes.
if the politicians are receiving these humongous, salaries, and with the huge gap in poverty in the land, of course, people will definitely bicker.
That's correct. But you see, I think there's a country in the world where the highest paid professionals are teachers.
Yeah, the educators.
Yeah, educators. Maybe Finland or so. I've forgotten that country anyway. So by Nigeria, we focus too much also on tertiary education. I read the news report whether the government, want to change that policy. You understand? So everybody going for paper qualification, we should find a way of reducing it. Today now we bring in Thailand from from Benin Republic. You understand? And I heard that the federal government want to open more colleges of technical colleges. Yes. So perhaps we should focus more on that.
Well, the ones we had, they were converted to University of Technologies. All our colleges of education, they were converted to University of Education. So we have little or no polytechnics or colleges or technical colleges and even colleges of education.
We need to reverse that
because of the much emphasis on BSc, making other higher education qualification inferior.
Similar, so they look similar inferior. We know that many people who did study technology and the sciences, many of those who went to the polytechnic, fare better in the workplace than those who have their BSc.
I mean, we know that, but the government policies have not made that look like that's the real thing.
I understand.
And of course, on the other hand, these have actually affected, employers where all they want to see is people with BSc.
But now, with Chinese people flooding the country, flooding our economy, it is getting clearer now that BSc degrees, paper certificates, are no longer, it's not everything. I meet a lot of Chinese people who cannot even speak a single English language. But they are producing stuff that we need in this country. So I think we should go that route. De-emphasize certificates. Let our people who are functional in society, plumbers, electricians, who are well trained. Because some of these foreign trips to the UK and etc., what they're asking for are professionals. People who have handcraft, electricians, plumbers, and etc., bricklayers, builders, and etc. So let us go that route. With the emphasized university degrees. Maybe even from the salary the degree holders have been paid. You understand? Let me emphasize it. Let's go to functionality, education that serves a purpose in society. Now, these days, you see a lot of people in PSC, they are not even employable. Nobody's going to employ them. It's unfortunate, but they're intelligent people. So, and I've seen people too, the degree holders, who have gone back to learn all these crafts. I've seen some of them, So let us start from the beginning. I know that there's a government policy now. I don't know how far they are pursuing it. That even in primary schools now, they want people to be learning hairdressing, maybe electrical works and etc. I know the policy. The how far it's being implemented is what I don't know.
Okay.
You understand?
Barrister Osho, thank you very much for your time.
You are welcome.
Talking to you.
You are welcome. Thank you very much. The pleasure is mine. Thank you.
That was Ayo Osho, a legal practitioner and current affairs analyst, talking to us on the news at 12. Up next is sports news, where Ousmane Dembele scored on his return from injury as defending champions Paris Saint-Germain thrashed Bayer Leverkusen 7-2 in the Champions League on Tuesday, as both teams finished with 10 men. Ballon d'Or winner Dembele scored PSG's sixth just 3 minutes after coming on as a second-half substitute for his first appearance since suffering a hamstring injury in early September. The Zaire duo bagged a brace, while William Pacho, Cvicha Skarashikelia, Nuno Mendes and Vitinha also hit the net at Leverkusen's Bay Arena as the visitors laid down the gauntlets to the European rivals. Alex Garcia scored both of the host goals, while PSG lost centre-back Elia Zabrani to a red card on the 37th minute as he conceded a second spot kick of the match. Leverkusen also had captain Robert Andrich dismissed for crashing his elbow into Dewey's jaw a few minutes earlier. And that's the world news at 12. But before we go, here again our top stories. Gunmen abducted 3 INEC officials, others on their way to Anambra ahead of governorship election. Secret Police DSS reveals imminent ISWAP terrorist attacks in Ondo and Kogi State. Over 30 fear dead and 40 injured in Niger State tanker explosion. Fire raises section of Alaba market in Lagos. ASUU suspends 2-week warning strike. NEL Fund opens student loan application portal for 2025-2026 academic session. Reps to probe $4.6 billion grant for HIV, TB, malaria response. On international news, no plans for Trump-Putin summit in near future, Russia and US officials reveal. And in sport, UEFA Champions League champions PSG crash and thrash Leverkusen 7-2. And that's the news. I am Solomon of Do follow our social media handles at VOP903FM. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at VOP903FM. Good afternoon and thank you for listening.